Rhema Afternoons with Tom and Di. Now, you may know Grant Norsworthy as one part of the Paul Coleman Trio or the guy behind the Blessing New Zealand. However, he's also working behind the scenes in churches around worship and song. Serving churches as a more than music mentor, Grant has helped local teams of musicians and techies to use music more effectively as an expression of worship. Grant joins us on the show to tell us more. Welcome. It's lovely to have you here.
Kia ora.
Thank you very much. Kia ora. Yeah, it's good to be on the call with you. Thank you.
Well, let's catch up first of all, because you know, Grant, we went through a bizarre few years with COVID, but obviously in your work of being able to connect with churches and your work with More Than Music, tell us about how that is going. You know, where are you at around the country making this all happen?
Oh, it's been going really well. And so it's just as Diane has said, you know, I'm providing training for the heart and the art of worshiping musicians. You know, we in the Christian church, we highly value music. Pretty much every time church people gather together, there's songs involved. And we believe that as we sing these prayers to God and praises of God together, reminders of truth about God, it can actually, I don't know, like soften the barrier between humanity and divinity. That's what it's been for me. I mean, I see you nodding, Tom, and others. So we highly value music in our church gatherings, but I don't know if you've noticed, but a lot of churches are struggling. You know, there's people who are well-intentioned, usually amateur volunteers, but, you know, singers, instrumentalists, and technicians, and they're looking at their congregations. Sometimes they're seeing dreary faces, you know, not really singing. And, you know, you might think, oh, there's heart issues involved there, and maybe there are, but I've actually found as I do this More Than Music mentor work, you can get a congregation singing more passionately if you make a few slight adjustments with how we're singing, how we're playing, what we're singing and playing, and how we mix it. So I'm just helping people with that. Have a pro musician come and spend time with your amateur volunteers, no matter what age, denomination, flavor, style, experience level. And I promise I won't say, you need more talent. I won't say that. I'll be like, no, if we make these little changes, we can help the congregation engage with more passion.
Grant, what would you say, to the concept, because we often talk about worship in Christian circles, but we always seem to say, you know, worship is music. But, you know, there are so many different expressions of worship. So how do you integrate all of that with what you're doing?
Oh, that's so important that we have everyone on the same page with exactly what you're saying. So, you know, I don't actually see the word worship used in the Bible as an adjective linked almost exclusively to music.
Yeah.
We see things like Romans 12:1 telling us to offer ourselves as a living sacrifice, holy and acceptable to God, and let that be your spiritual, reasonable, intelligent act of worship. So step one of the More Than Music Mentor program actually is to say, hey, every moment of every day is a chance to worship God. However, something beautiful and potent and I think transformative can happen when we gather in a room together and we sing together. So I'm trying to elevate the value of the music, this musical expression of worship, I would say, but point to the worship of God that needs to continue after the songs are finished and as we leave the auditorium. Because what you've got to avoid, Diane, is someone saying, well, it's only worship if I agree with the theology. Well, it's only worship if I'm getting a chill down my spine. Well, it's only worship if ... You know, and I hear that over and over again. And those sort of discussions don't end well, ever. You've got to get everyone on the same page. I can only worship if I'm playing my drums like I'm in Foo Fighters. I think you've got a misunderstanding of what it means to worship God, brother. You know, like, let's get on the same page with that. And let me help you with your drumming, because this is a service opportunity, not I want to play songs my way, the way I like to, and give myself an experience. We've got to try and shuffle that a little differently.
You talk about using music, and part of that is being able to express truths about God. And I've often thought through the idea that if we're expressing truths about God, the necessary response should be is worship of God. But I'm interested that you talked about the fact that you see a lot of churches struggling to connect with the congregation, to kind of enter into this place of worship. And without sort of going into the whole gambit of what you're doing, what are some of the keys you see, you know, to why that is, and how we can, as you put it, pull together back to the same page?
Yeah, I'd say that any team involved in anything, a sporting team, a business team, a band, we've got to have an agreed measurable goal. And what I see happening in the Christian church today, and it's widespread, that people are all tugging in different directions. Musicians, like singers, instrumentalists, and technicians, have been told, you're a worship team. Worship starts at 10. These are worship songs. Lead us in worship. And especially because people change, they move to a different town, they're part of a different sort of flavor or theological emphasis of the church, that those sentences mean very different things to different people. So I'm trying to say, look, let's agree that to worship God is to show the worth of God. You know, I'm an Australian bass player. It's got to be simple. To worship God is to show the worth of God. So let's pick up our instruments and get behind microphones with the goal of having God be worshipped, not only by us, but by our congregation. But don't think that the worship of God is exclusively stuck to this music stuff. That frees us up to then go, well, then what is the humanly observable goal? And I think of it this way. You know, any soccer team wants to win the World Cup, but they actually do all their skills development and strategizing and fitness work to get a ball in the back of the net. So I'd say to any church team, let's agree that we want the World Cup. We want God to be worshipped. Absolutely. But we need a ball in the back of the net goal. And that to me is get the congregation singing. Get them singing. Because there's a lot of congregations unsure about whether they can sing or should sing. I don't know. There's a mixed message being sent, you know, that sing with us, but actually it's in my key. Sing with us, but it's too loud. Sing with us, but the lyrics on the screen don't match what I'm singing. Sing with us, but there's 3 other people on the platform waiting for their doo-wop moment in the chorus. You know, like it sounds like a soloist to me. I'm supposed to listen or am I supposed to sing? I don't know. So I'm just trying to say, hey, if you want to perform music for an audience, do that to the glory of God. Do it as an expression of worship. But usually on a Sunday morning, it's actually flat out more fun. And actually the Bible supports this. Get your congregation singing. Now that will require
participation.
Absolutely. And that's the higher joy. I call it the higher joy. Oh, I'm just here to show people how the song goes. They're not really listening to me. I'm asking them to be a choir in a sense and recognize God is the object of these songs. They're not an audience. They're in the band. They are not my crowd. They're the choir, and I get to lead them to sing. And these beautiful words come out of people's mouths. There's something potent about this. I'm standing in a group of people who agree with this thought about God, who want to pray this same prayer to God. Oh, yeah, let's do that and see what God does from there.
Now, Grant, you've got an event coming up, so let's have a little chat about that really soon, in fact. So how do people get involved? Where is it and what is it?
Yeah, so I'm making this call from my home in Upper Moutere, top of the South Island. I've been doing these More Than Music Mentor on-site workshops all around the place, Invercargill, Dunedin, Christchurch. I've been to New Plymouth and Palmerston North. I've been to Hamilton. I've sort of been holding off on Auckland a little bit, but I'm really pleased that not this coming Saturday, but the following Saturday, that's the 20th of July, I'm doing what I call a core content training session in partnership with Manukau City Baptist Church. And you can go to citybaptist.org.nz to contact Manukau City and register your interest in this. You can also contact me if you want through morethanmusicmentor.com. I'll answer your questions. But I call it core content because it's not a Baptist flavor that I'm teaching. It's not a Pentecostal flavor I'm teaching. It's not an Anglican flavor I'm teaching. I'm trying to find a common ground for all of us. So core content in that no matter what your age, denomination, theological emphasis, I think you'll resonate with what I'm saying. And hopefully leave the room going, wow, there's differences in how we use music, and that's fine. That's the big goal.
All right. Well, that's coming up, as you say, not this Saturday, but next Saturday. And
it's a full day, like 9 till 3:30. So okay. Sorry to cut you off there, but yeah, it's a big day.
Big day.
Yeah.
All right. 20th of July, core content. If you're interested, you can find out more at citybaptist.org.nz. And if you want to catch up with Grant and find out more about his work with More Than Music Mentor, head along to that website, morethanmusicmentor.com. Grant Norsworthy with us. And hey, appreciate your thoughts and all the best for the event and the continuing work around the country in terms of worship. Appreciate your time.
You're welcome. Thanks, Tom. Thanks, Diane. Thanks, listeners.